Tommy Rees just gave us the quote of the season and maybe the year. When describing what it's like calling plays for the Browns offense, he said calling plays at Alabama was like driving a Ferrari. And calling them in Cleveland? Like pushing a shopping cart with a busted wheel through a thunderstorm. That's not frustration. That's a cry for help. Rees isn't some rookie coach. He came from championship programs, Notre Dame, Alabama, where expectations are high and execution is elite. Now, he's stuck in Cleveland calling plays he didn't design for a quarterback he didn't pick, while the head coach tightens every screw from the top. At the center of it all, a quarterback controversy without a voice. Shedeur Sanders, the rookie with first-round upside, is lighting it up in practice, staying late for extra reps, impressing teammates, and handling everything with class. But he's not allowed in the game plan. He's barely allowed on the field, except after practice, in creative extra sessions, while Dillon Gabriel, the team's third-round pick, continues to struggle under center. And now, fans are done pretending this is normal. Because when your offense is averaging 14 points a game, your quarterback ranks near the bottom of every metric, and your OC is publicly begging for change, the question isn't if Shedeur should get a shot. It's what they're so afraid of if he does. When the Browns promoted Tommy Rees to offensive coordinator, it looked like a move toward innovation. Young, proven, and sharp from the college ranks, ready to inject some much-needed life into a flatlining offense. But what they actually gave him was a trap. On paper, Rees got the keys. In reality, he was driving a car already stuck in neutral. Engine parts sealed, route preloaded. Paragraph. Sometimes they do make the graphic. The characters adjust in stock T, but in this case, it's a trap. Also, in the Browns promoted Tommy Rees to offensive coordinator, it looked like a move toward innovation. Young, proven, and sharp, and the GPS controlled by Kevin Stefanski. Reports suggest that while Stefanski handed Rees the title, he never truly let go of control. The promotion came with fine print. Rees could call the plays, not pick the players. He could draw up the script, but only for the quarterback Stefanski had already chosen to roll with, Dillon Gabriel. It was a setup more than a shakeup. Rees wasn't shy about the contradictions. In press conferences, he praised Shedeur Sanders openly, often unprompted, citing his growth, mental control, and strides in the system. But every time things started to sound optimistic, the reality snapped them down. Shedeur wasn't getting starter reps. He wasn't involved in game plan installs, and he wasn't being allowed to compete for real live opportunities in the offense. Meanwhile, Gabriel continued to start despite consistent struggles. And Rees, left holding the clipboard for an offense broken before he even touched it, then held responsible when the box score said 14 points again. This is what happens when an organization gives someone responsibility but no authority. Rees knew the optics. If he questioned the setup too loudly, it puts his relationship with Stefanski on the line. But if he stays silent, he becomes the scapegoat. So, he's trying something in the middle, defending his staff, elevating Shedeur, and nudging questions into the public without shouting back. But anything less than results will still land in his lap. And from where Rees is standing, it's starting to look like he got the wheel just in time to steer into a wreck he didn't cause. Tommy Rees isn't playing coy. From the moment he stepped into the OC chair, he's made one thing clear. He sees something in Shedeur Sanders. You don't go out of your way to praise a rookie quarterback unless you're sending a message. Rees praised Shedeur's command, his mental growth, and his ability to process the offense. Words usually reserved for starters, not scout team guys. He called the entire situation around Shedeur unique, even saying he doesn't know how many times it's happened in NFL history. That's not just a compliment. That's a chess piece being moved. Because Rees sees what fans and insiders are starting to whisper about louder every week. Shedeur's the guy with the tools, the poise, and the upside. And he's stuck running reps after practice like he's a third-string clipboard holder. What makes Rees's praise even more telling is how consistent it's been. Whether discussing Shedeur in minicamp, OTAs, or during the regular season, Rees has stayed on message. This kid is working. He's grinding. He's intentional. His game is slowing down in the right way. And most importantly, he's locked in, even when he knows the system's stacked against him. That doesn't sound like a coach speaking about someone buried on the depth chart for performance reasons. That sounds like a coach who's frustrated he can't push the guy he believes in. And behind closed doors, many believe Rees has advocated for Shedeur to get real reps, a QB package designed for play-action looks, boots, and tempo. But every time the idea gains traction, reports suggest it's Kevin Stefanski who slams the brakes. Development timeline. Too early. Still needs seasoning. Translation? Stefanski's not risking being proven wrong about Gabriel versus Sanders. Meanwhile, Rees continues working the long game, playing diplomat in public, but making it harder and harder for anyone to ignore who he thinks should be under center. Yeah, that's it. All right. Shedeur Sanders isn't just on the sideline. He's in the shadows, doing everything no one sees. And according to the Browns coaching staff, that's by design. Despite being one of the most talked about rookies in camp, Shedeur has been relegated to scout team reps and creative extra sessions after practice. Not first-team snaps, not situational installs. Just rep work in the margins, scraps while the starter struggles. Quarterbacks coach Billy Musgrave tried to explain it away earlier this season, saying all backup QBs, Shedeur included, are involved in scout team duties. But that's not development. That's simulation. You're not running your own plays. You're mimicking the opponent's quarterback to help the defense prepare. Valuable? Yes. Game ready? Not even close. Instead of throwing to Jerry Jeudy or Cedric Tillman against live ones, Shedeur is tossing passes against scout team DBs. Reading coverages he'll never face on Sundays and hoping someone upstairs notices. So the Browns invented creative reps, extended one-on-one work, late session drills, and post-practice tidy-ups. CBS analyst Ross Tucker even reported these bonus periods are built specifically for Shedeur to stay involved without sidestepping Stefanski's chosen starter. Think about what that says. The Browns know Shedeur's too good to ignore entirely, but not valuable enough yet to disrupt the status quo with Gabriel. So they treat him like an honor student stuck doing homework after class, while the kid failing the test keeps taking every rep and turning in Fs. What's worse, Rees told reporters their hands are tied. He admitted they have to find creative ways to get Shedeur ready because real reps aren't available. This isn't a development plan. It's a delay tactic. One that looks worse with every stalled drive and every forced press conference. While Shedeur Sanders runs post-practice routes in scripted shadows, Dillon Gabriel drowns on Sundays in plain sight. Through 6 starts, Gabriel has posted a QBR of 26.8, second worst in the entire NFL. That's not growing pains. That's a quarterback gasping for air. He's completing under 60% of his passes, has just 5 touchdowns against 2 interceptions, and more importantly, he's leading an offense that averages 14 points per game. That's second to last in the league in scoring. In today's NFL, where teams are dropping 30-plus routinely, 14 points is prehistoric. And it's not like he's being set up for success, then underwhelming in critical moments. The system is vanilla, the reads are short, and the schemes are simplified. Still, Gabriel is late on timing throws. His pocket awareness is shaky. He's missing layups, wide open sideline shots, uncovered slants, off-target checkdowns. Against the Jets, a one-win team coming into the game, Gabriel was sacked 6 times and managed just 167 yards on 32 pass attempts. Those touchdowns everyone clings to? Garbage time. The game had already slipped, and the Browns' offense? Completely flat for 3 quarters. Every week, it's rinse and repeat. Pre-game hope, halftime concern, post-game letdown. The numbers don't lie, and the tape looks worse. Jets defenders sat on every route, knowing the Browns had no vertical presence worth respecting. Opposing defenses aren't even disguising their coverages anymore. They're daring Gabriel to beat them over the top. He won't, and he hasn't. But somehow, it's still his job. So here's the contradiction. Shedeur's working extra sessions as a developmental piece, while Dylan's out here putting up some of the worst quarterbacking in the league and getting 6 days of full reps to do it again. At some point, it's no longer about who's ahead on the depth chart. It's about what Cleveland is pretending not to see. Myles Garrett didn't whisper it. He said it with his pads still on and frustration spilling through every word. I want to win. I'll do anything. I hate that inevitability and not being able to do anything about it. That's not a vague soundbite. That's your franchise player lighting the fuse. Garrett has carried this defense all season, and it's one of the few bright spots the Browns actually have. He's producing at an all-pro level, game planning every week against double teams, stacking pressure, holding this team afloat while the offense sputters. And now, the dam is cracking. He didn't call anyone out by name, but the implication was crystal clear. He's tired of putting in elite effort for a team that can't even manufacture 200 passing yards per game. He's tired of watching the same offense run the same script with the same result, then hearing the same post-game excuses in the locker room. And he's not alone. Wide receiver Jerry Jeudy has reportedly joined the chorus, throwing public support behind Shedeur Sanders and questioning Stefanski's handling of the quarterback situation. Judy's not talking about development or long-term potential. He's pushing for a quarterback change to win now. The players know what the coaches won't say out loud. Shedeur gives them a shot. Gabriel's had his turn, and whatever this offense is trying to protect, it's clearly not working. The culture Stefanski has tried to build is eroding, not from player drama, but from silence filled with losing. And Rees? He hears it too. But as long as he protects the hierarchy, the tension stays bottled. Until someone finally pulls the lever and turns potential into action. When Shedeur Sanders slid into the 5th round, people immediately started throwing out red flags. Attitude, ego, distractions, too media-driven. Fixated on his last name, stuck in his dad's shadow. All the usual draft cliches came flying, and yet not a single one has held up. Since landing in Cleveland, Sanders has been the definition of professional. Quiet, focused, respectful. He's running scout team, staying late for extra work, giving away cars to single moms, showing up at youth camps, visiting schools. No complaints. No Instagram rants, just preparation and character. Everything critics said he lacked, he's doing. Meanwhile, the quarterback taken before him, Dylan Gabriel, is struggling inside an offense that's not just broken, it's inaccessible. And he's doing it with full support. Every starter rep, a default no competition clause, and Stefanski's full backing. So here's what Browns fans are justifiably asking now. If Shedeur's stock dropped because of intangible concerns and Dylan was chosen earlier for being safe, why is the late-round wildcard outperforming the higher investment in every measurable way, except opportunity? It comes down to pride. Cleveland's front office doesn't want to admit it may have gotten the pecking order wrong. Gabriel, a 3rd-rounder, represents a more justifiable bet. Sanders, taken 50 picks later, was supposed to be the project. But that idea falls apart when the project is running circles in post-practice reps and media insiders are openly talking about how sharp he looks behind closed doors. If both quarterbacks are going to struggle in a broken system, don't you try the one with the higher ceiling? Because if the Browns are protecting Shedeur by holding him back in favor of Gabriel, all they're really doing is delaying what everyone sees coming and burning reps the rookie with the real upside should be getting. There's a huge difference between protecting a rookie quarterback from failure and protecting your own draft decisions from exposure. And right now, that's exactly what's happening in Cleveland. If Shedeur Sanders were sitting behind a battle-tested veteran, fine. The don't rush him logic works when the guy ahead of him is stable, proven, and winning. But Dillon Gabriel isn't that. He's a rookie himself, struggling, flinching under pressure, and operating an offense that's ranked second to last in the league. So the development argument doesn't hold weight. Shedeur isn't being protected. He's being shelved to preserve the narrative that the Browns picked the right guy earlier. That the third-round investment in Gabriel wasn't a mistake. The problem? That kind of thinking loses games. It's no longer about who earned the start. It's about saving face. Multiple analysts and insiders keep circling back to the same point. Sanders is doing everything right. He's handling live situations in practice with command, making reads, throwing accurately, executing scripted looks at a higher level than his draft status would suggest. And still, he's watching not working because Cleveland doesn't want to deal with the optics of admitting they backed the wrong rookie, and that's dangerous. Every rep Gabriel takes now is more about justifying an evaluation than about winning football games. And that might be the worst part. Bernie Kosar talked earlier this season about the risk of ruining a young QB by playing him too early. That logic only applies when the guy ahead of him is functional. When he's not, you're not protecting the backup. You're hiding from a hard truth. Shedeur's not a risk anymore. He's a decision Cleveland doesn't want to make, because a new direction means admitting they've been driving the wrong one all year. Tommy Rees didn't land in Cleveland by accident, and he didn't take the job for just any NFL head coach. He made it clear at his introductory presser and again this week. He came to Cleveland because of Kevin Stefanski. He praised Stefanski's leadership, thanked him for the opportunity, and said repeatedly how much he respects and values their relationship. That's good politics. It's also why Rees hasn't blown the whistle harder on the Shedeur Sanders situation. Rees is in his first year as an NFL offensive coordinator. He knows the game, on and off the field. He's not about to challenge his boss publicly, no matter how much he disagrees with the current direction. So instead, he walks the tightrope. He praises Shedeur, drops hints about creativity, and uses terms like unique to describe the QB room. Language loaded enough to spark the conversation, but soft enough to avoid direct confrontation. And make no mistake, it's costing him. This offense is a mess. He's calling plays for a quarterback he didn't pick. Period. Within a framework he didn't design, while trying to convince reporters, without saying it, that there's a better option sitting 2 feet away in pads. But Rees is stuck between loyalty and logic. He's trying to show he's capable, creative, and composed. He's trying not to look disloyal to the man who hired him. But keeping quiet might ultimately tie his name to an offense that's failing, and a quarterback situation that's imploding in slow motion. At some point, the version of Rees that called plays at Alabama and executed high-octane schemes at Notre Dame is going to have to speak louder than the version trying to keep Stefanski comfortable. Because if he doesn't, this promotion may become the reason he's remembered for not speaking up when everything was sinking. Here's what we know. Shedeur Sanders is doing everything right. He's earning respect behind the scenes, staying late, keeping his head down, and showing maturity well beyond his draft slot. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel continues to get every opportunity, every rep, every excuse, and continues to underdeliver in an offense that's barely producing 2 touchdowns a game. Tommy Rees knows this. The locker room knows this. Now, the fans know it too. And yet, nothing changes. Everyone agrees Shedeur has the tools, the work ethic, and the upside to be a future starter. The only thing not agreeing is Cleveland's decision-makers, too committed to a third-round investment to admit that a fifth-rounder might just be better. It's ego disguised as patience, and it's keeping the team stuck at square one, week after week. Rees is battling frustration, not just as a coach, but as a leader who can't implement the solution he sees. And instead of challenging the system head-on, he's walking the line. He talks about creative packages, small sparks, and resetting rhythm, but never says what we're all thinking. Pull the trigger. Play the kid. Because the season isn't just slipping away, it's dragging Shedeur's development down with it. Every week he doesn't start is a week of wasted reps in live action that no amount of post-practice drills can recreate. If this isn't the time to try something different, if a 2-7 record, broken offense, and internally frustrated stars aren't enough, what exactly are they waiting for? Shedeur Sanders doesn't need to be an overnight savior. He just deserves the same opportunity his draft status doesn't guarantee, but his performance clearly warrants. And if the Browns don't give it to him soon, someone else eventually will. Your move, Cleveland.